Welcome to the Fantasy 40 Podcast with your host, John Dabari.
I can beat the shit out of Hollywood Brown if you'd like.
Matt Walker.
Like the DK Metcalf of running back.
And Andrew Berg.
I love Hakeem Butler, actually. He's starting to grow on me.
Remember to like, rate, subscribe on Podbean, iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify. Follow the guys on Twitter at the Fantasy 40. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to the Fantasy 40 Podcast. We are back. Myself, Andrew Burke, John Dabari, and Matt Walker. It was kind of a, I would say piss poor. That's how we'll open. Piss poor showing for some of us here at the 40 on week 6. Not because of our teams didn't do well. I'm sure we won every game, right, gentlemen? But our boy, after waving goodbye to Byron Jones, we're just going to open with it because it happened last night. Aaron Jones drops a seam touchdown, and he was pretty much no longer heard from. LaFleur gave him the old timeout, Walker. Were you happy to see that?
Listen, I think it might have been Aaron Rodgers that gave him the old timeout, to be totally honest with you, after dropping that dime on him that seam route. And let's not forget he fumbled one away earlier on. Right. It wasn't even like a great strip. It was just like a little loose, got his hand pulled down. Of course, after a massive week, the week prior, where the three of us couldn't have been happier with Aaron Jones. He comes crashing back down to earth on a primetime spot. And Jamal Slug Williams, nonetheless, is RB7 on the week in PPR.
Oh, man.
This is the world we live in.
We gave the people ammunition that were Williams truthers. But, John, you gave out some great info last week, and I started to see it at the end of the game. Mr. Lazard started stepping up with Scantling being banged up and Allison getting his head knocked off in the middle. If you guys were listening, John was on top of Lazard before he even stepped on the field. So that was a good call there. It was nice to see.
No, I've unintentionally screwed myself repeatedly. I had Lazard in a few spots for a couple weeks, just stashing him. Same thing with Mark Walton. And then with buys and everything, and they weren't really producing, I had to cut them. And now they both kind of popped, and now I got to pick them back up and actually spend money this week. Walton had a pretty, I don't know if you guys noticed, he got the start in Miami, and he got something like 46% of the snaps. And
11 touches for 75 yards.
That's a nice little line there.
And Drake, should theoretically be on the move too. So, if you're looking for a cheap starting running back on the horizon, it might be him. Game scripts are going to be obviously trash from here on out, but he's a decent receiver too, so he won't be completely game scripted out if they are trailing by 50 every game, which they will be.
Another one of those guys that kind of went under the radar. I don't know if he was suspended at the beginning of the year, but he had a rough little span towards this offseason where he was walking down the street and just getting arrested. So it's good to see him on the field and producing for fantasy teams. I don't know. The Jags and Saints went into a knockout punch fight. That nothing really crazy happened there. Minshew looked like a rookie that game. But I also think it was a play calling. They didn't really let him air it out as much as they normally do. They tried to keep everything towards the line of scrimmage.
I'll tell you, listen, something happened in that game. Jared Cook, touchdown in back-to-back weeks, just shoving it right down John's throat. Jared Cook hating
nobody's starting.
Bitch. And B, Latavius Murray finally got a little burn.
He did.
With Alvin Kamara banged up, and he looked good.
I didn't see a ton of that game. The little bit I did see, it seemed like Minshew just didn't give a shit that Lattimore was covering Shark, and he just kept going that way. And it's like you said, it could just be a rookie thing. But that game, the Saints have been pretty terrible against the slot receivers because P.J. Williams sucks. So why they weren't peppering Dede, I think it's just a big mistake on Minshew's part. The little, like I said, I didn't watch the whole game, but the bits I saw, I was like, why does he keep going at Lattimore, who has shut down much better wide receivers than DJ Shark?
Yeah, and I'm not even saying Marquise Lee is a burner, but he's not getting any looks, and he's finally healthy, I believe, running around the field, and that's about all he's doing.
The funny thing about it is that Minshew only threw it 29 times, and he threw it. The most targets actually went to Dede Westbrook. He had 8 targets. He had one more than Chark did. He just kept saying the Chark ones because he had fucking Lattimore just blanketed on him the entire game. Sleeping on his back, giving the old book bag treatment.
Before we start previewing next week, I got a question for you guys right now. Coming off a big week, Stephon Diggs, obviously, 3 touchdowns. I guess pouting and making some noise gets you your way down in Minnesota. Thielen was the week before. So my question was going to be to both of you. Right now, Keenan Allen is not being Keenan Allen. So who do you want for the rest of the year, Diggs or Allen? I see a lot of people trying to sell Allen. That's why I'm asking.
Keenan Allen, the problem is they're running out of other receiver targets. So Keenan Allen's getting something crazy, like 35% of the targets last time I checked. I could be a little bit off.
More of the FF Ballers was out there catching fucking footballs for him on Sunday. So.
But yeah, he's getting absolutely peppered with targets, and everybody else on the field sucks. So if you're playing defense against them, you're just going to, shade your coverage over to stop Keenan Allen because, the hobbled corpse of Dontrell Inman, who's on IR now, isn't scaring your defense. Right. I think now with Gordon coming back, and then obviously Eckler's going to get more involved in the passing game with Gordon running, teams are going to have to play him a little more. What's the right word? Play him a little more honestly. So I think he's going to be okay the rest of the way. I'm not worried about it. The volume is going to be there.
Well, how in the hell?
He was third in targets, by the way. Mike Williams and Henry had more targets than him. He had 6 targets on the night.
That's what I was going to say. Is it opens it up for Henry, but my analysis right now in the 2 games is the Chargers are worse with Melvin Gordon in the game. That's just my weak analysis. Just from the outside looking in. I don't know. They're trying too much to make shit happen, I feel like. And Hunter Henry, the bright spot for the Chargers at this point. I don't really see much other than that.
He was supposed to be limited, and he just comes out fucking.
I didn't start him.
Gangbusters, and he just looked like he played all season. Rivers looking for him, just wide open touchdown catches.
Got the last cheap one at the end of the game. That's what you really like to see. But thank God I had Mark Andrews starting. He didn't get a touchdown, but he did enough to where I wasn't pissed off that I didn't roll out Henry. But there's a shootout.
Teams are just full of shit.
I know. You can't believe anyone these days. But the Texans upset the Chiefs. Chiefs are on a losing streak. But bright spot is Cheetah is back. Just come right out of the gate. Drew him off sides, bombed the ball. That's what you're going to expect. I think – who's the odd man out now, John, in Kansas City with Cheetah coming back?
I mean, if they're all healthy, Watkins is the number 2. So – but obviously he's not healthy. So if Watkins is healthy going forward, I mean, Robinson's out, Pringle is out, all those guys are out. But they're depending on week to week, anybody can pop on this offense. So even though you're not going to play him, it wouldn't be shocking, 2 weeks from now for even with Hill in the game for like Pringle to have another 102 game or some other nonsense. But you can't trust him anymore.
Yeah.
How about the fact that outside of that busted play touchdown where Tyreek Hill should never have caught it, that was just drastically underplayed by Reed, his other 4 catches went for 32 yards.
Yeah.
Just they won because Mahomes is injured, so he's lacking mobility to be able to stretch some of these plays out to get Hill deep. I don't know. I'm a little concerned about the Chiefs' offense. Banged up on their line, limited Mahomes. It just doesn't look like it's that clicking on all cylinders 50 touchdown team from a year ago.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to light up Denver on Thursday night, but Christ, I mean.
Well, let's go to the Cardinals and Falcons. Is an ugly bird game, 33-34. I think Kyler put up QB1 numbers this week. He threw for like 330 and 3 touchdowns. No picks, which is good to see, but I believe it was walk called a Chase Edmonds score. We did get one of those. I thought Ridley would do a little more, but he crept in the end zone. The Falcons are going to be the Falcons for the rest of the year. I think they're just going to air it out. And, if you have receivers, I would start pretty much any of the receivers there, Julio, Hooper, and Ridley from, moving forward. And even Ryan. What do you think, Walk?
No, 100%. Matt Ryan's QB4 on the season, and he's behind rushing quarterbacks who aid a lot of their production. Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, and Russell Wilson are 1 through 3. He's ahead of Mahomes right now. They're just behind every game. They don't have a run game, so even what Devonta Freeman is doing is via the pass. fucking Matt Ryan's a lock for 303 every single week. I mean, it's just not going to change. If they play this week, whoever they play this week, write it down. Oh, they're playing the Rams? Yeah. He's going to throw over 303 again. They just IR to keep Talib. So just pencil Matt Ryan in for another QB1 week this week. He's a hell of a steal in DFS because he still kind of like lingers. You know, in the drafts I play, like no one takes them. They all want the same guys. And I just grab Matt Ryan every week in the last round as my quarterback. And I'm like, thanks for the victory.
Tevin Coleman still producing in San Fran, John. Let's see. He got 18 carries for 45. He averaged a measly 2.5 a clip, but he did get in the end zone. They gave Breda a little more work, 13 for 36. They didn't really run the ball effectively. Kittle.
Volume, baby, volume. 50 rush attempts or close to it, right?
Yeah, that's 31, 42 total. 42 total rush attempts. Garoppolo had 5, though.
I had 41 listed here, but look what you did there.
5, those Garoppolo count?
Yeah.
Well, he's got a touchdown, 5 for 4, 0.08, yeah, or 0.8 yards.
Listen, Garoppolo was as good of a short yardage guy as Tevin Coleman was. He looked terrible in that role. Get Raheem Mostert back in the game, running those, or Jeff Wilson, taking those fucking 1-yard touchdowns. I just hate Tevin Coleman. He's so overrated. He's getting propped up by Shanahan for far too long. He's not good. And he did not deserve to have that touchdown. He probably ended up being an RB1 on the week.
I was going to ask you, Walk, because I know you kind of pay attention to some of these things, but what do you see going on with the Rams offense, and can you trust it moving forward? It just seems like they might have McVay's number at this point. Kind of called it last year. I was saying, once this guy gets behind, he gets a little cocky and he doesn't stick to, the game plan. And right now, Jared Goff just threw 13 for 24 and 78 yards. My son this weekend had 3 completed passes and threw for like 120. So I don't know what's going on there for Jared.
Your son got $100 million in the bank too?
Hopefully one day, we'll have our own studio, but I'm just, pointing it out. Like, I don't know how you can get 13 completions and 78 yards.
Captain Dad Bod. They should have just looked at his physique and refused to pay him any money until he got in shape. Like, until you commit to being an athlete, you don't get a fucking penny of this money. Put you on a workout plan. Their offense, and again, I think they've referenced this in weeks prior and listened to the Fantasy Pros podcast. Mike Tagliere said it, that since Gurley got hurt, this offense has gone downhill slowly. And then they lose Saffold in the offseason, which was a huge part of their running game. And Whitworth's a year older on that left side. He's not getting the protection. They're not opening the running lanes. They're not running the ball like they used to. And it impacts the entire offense. And, I mean, do we see anything better in sight until they get Darrell Henderson in there over Malcolm Brown and get some explosive plays to keep defenses honest, or until Gurley can get reasonably healthy, or you're going to trust him with 20 touches? This offense is going to continue to sputter because Goff isn't the quarterback that's going to win you games. I just don't believe he is.
It's almost to the point for the front office where you paid Gurley so much money. Yeah, I know he's got a banged up quad or something's going on, and obviously his arthritic knees, but wouldn't you just ride it till the wheels fall off instead of just getting 2 games here where he gets 12 touches, wait 2 weeks, you give him another 12, he's banged up again? I'd just say fuck it now and start punishing him, give him the old DeMarco Murray treatment, get your money's worth at least. And
100%, they're on the hook. Gurley's got to know too, there's not another contract down the road for him. This is it. If you're healthy enough, get on the field, son. Like, you're going to get 18 to 20 touches, and we're going to see what happens the rest of this year.
I know.
At least so I can trade him in Dynasty. Can we do that? Can you just stop him up for like a month?
Right.
Duct tape the kid together and bunch of goal line carries until I can get him off my fucking rosters.
I know. I'm on the fence of getting rid of Freeman after his.
You need to trade him.
Yeah, I tried. I've been trying for the last 2 years. I think this is the only window it's cracked open. So if you can crackhead, fit through there, slide through that window and make a trade and steal some money out of Debo's pants, you're good to go. But let's get into next week's games. First one's a Thursday. I know you guys hate Thursday games and you don't want any part of it, but the Chiefs are on Thursday. You cannot not start anyone. Damian Williams got in the end zone again, walked, but didn't look too impressive. They're still getting
2 touches.
Yeah. I mean, one of them was for a touchdown. I don't know what to do with that backfield. We already kind of talked about Tyreek, but the Broncos, is there anyone viable at this point, John, to use?
Yeah, I mean, Emmanuel Sanders got hurt. The odds are he's not going to play with the short week. So, Sutton's put up decent numbers this year. I like the wide receivers. They're Kansas City should be able to score on Denver. Denver's going to have to play to stay in this. And the Chiefs' defense sucks too. So maybe Deshaun Hamilton sighting with Sanders out. And I like Sutton this week too.
Yeah. Listen, Philip Lindsay just keeps hanging around. He's running back 13 on the year. He's a fucking definition. He's just that high-end RB2 because he's getting touchdowns. He's got 4 through 6 games, catches enough passes. But the line on this game is 49, and Denver's only getting 3.5. I find that both of those things surprising. Because then the implied total is that Denver is going to score points as well, and probably because they're going to have to keep up with KC. But I thought for sure it would be a little bit bigger of a line there than 3.5. But, KC is just falling apart right in front of our eyes. I don't see how this isn't a get-right run game for the Chiefs. It's, try and keep Mahomes clean for a game. Don't let him aggravate his ankle. Try and run the ball on a team that you should not be scared of putting points up on you offensively. And the Denver defense, now they're down Bradley Chubb. I mean, who are they scaring anymore? I just don't see why you wouldn't put 30-plus carries on your running backs in this game.
That's for the year, correct? He's done for the year.
Yeah, towards ACL.
Yeah. That's a bummer.
One of the weird things about Denver, this week seems to it's like a bizarre changing of the guard. Somehow Lindsey's become the between the tackles running back, and Freeman turned into the receiving guy.
I think it's funny. Freeman's been a better receiver all year, just from a statistical
correct
perspective. He's just been better with his touches, and he has more receptions on the year. But I think that they actually have the same exact targets on the year. Freeman just has 2 more catches, oddly enough.
I think it was up until this week. It just changed a little bit because they
are grinding Lindsey between the tackles.
It's very weird.
Seems like a recipe for disaster for a guy his size, but
also true.
God bless him. He keeps getting it done.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be tuning in. I'll be watching the box score. But another one, we got the Packers who are on kind of a tear with everyone being injured. The refs helped them out this week. At least that's what Twitter seems to think. Everyone's losing their minds, including players that are taken to the internet, saying, why can't we throw flags for hands to the face? Take all that out of it. Gruden's actually not doing too bad of a job with that roster he's got down in Oakland right now. So what do you expect there, Walk? Why don't you take the Raiders, and I'll give John the Packers.
I thought they were the only team I was willing to take in this conversation. They are going to just pound Josh Jacobs right down their throat. Green Bay's run defense is pitiful. It didn't really get exposed this week because for whatever reason, Detroit was trying to throw downfield early and then couldn't establish the run late. But I think Oakland's going to try and go into Green Bay and control the clock with the running game and then sprinkle in a little bit of Darren Waller and maybe some Zay Jones perhaps after a week off on the bye. But they got to be as healthy as they can be, coming off the bye after the week in London where they upset the Bears. They're riding high right now. I actually like Oakland's skill players in this game. I'd be starting Jacobs as a running back 1. I think Waller just falls right back in line. I'd even be willing to start Derek Carr in this game. So I think you can throw on Green Bay. I mean, if Stafford stuck with it, he could have thrown for 400 yards on them easy.
Yeah, I think so too. They missed a couple connections. We didn't really get into that game too much with Golladay, but he looked pretty good. John, what do you got on the other side of the ball?
I don't think Devontae Adams is back this week. They keep saying he might be back, but the initial reports were he's probably, a serious turf toe, correct? So he's probably going to miss another week is my guess at least. So you're just going to see more of the same. They're going to spread the ball around. I mean, Mercedes Lewis got involved. Jimmy Graham looked okay in a couple plays. There's nobody I love besides Aaron Jones, but we're seeing how that's getting split up again. So there's going to be a lot of points, but where the hell they're going to go, I'm not quite sure.
Listen, John, you brought it up with John. It was Alan Lazard, and it was a touch pass to Jamal Williams for the touchdowns. I mean, MVS and Allison didn't do shit. Rodgers
got hurt again.
That's what he does. Okay, so he did do something. All right, but Rodgers had his typical mid 200-yard 2-touchdown game. He's not exploding anymore. The running back roulette week to week. Jimmy Graham doesn't do crap again. I mean, I don't trust that offense whatsoever. I mean, we all love Aaron Jones, but there's no way he's going to go back to being a 70% back after what Jamal Williams did.
They're a good real football team, but they're not very productive for fantasy right now.
It's almost like the NFC's Patriots at this point. And
I blame Matt LaFleur and his clear manscaping that he does.
I hate his guts.
Are we going to take a quick side break so you guys can rip him a new one, and then we'll move on?
Cram it up your cram hole, LaFleur.
Okay. Rams and Falcons, we kind of already touched on Talib going to IR. So Matt Ryan, you're going to roll him out, John. Receivers, obviously Julio's going to
big Julio game because Talib's not going to be shadowing him. I like Julio. Love Julio.
Marcus Peters on him. We'll get repeatedly burnt by Julio.
What about the Rams, Walk? I know you said Daryl Henderson for running backs if Gurley's not available. Obviously it's pretty early in the week to see if he's going to play, but is Kupp still the only receiver you're really trusting? Because Woods, got in the end zone again this week with the rushing touchdown.
Listen, that's all he did was the rushing touchdown, but Jared Goff with his 78 yards, there wasn't really a lot to go around for that wide receiver core. This is a nice get-right game for the Rams passing. I would start all of them in various degrees. I think Kupp's a 1. I think Woods and Cooks are low end 2/flexes, but I try and get them all in there because the Rams need a get right game, and Atlanta only knows one way to play defense, and it's poorly. So there's going to be points scored on the Rams side, whether Gurley's out there or not. I would like Henderson to touch the ball more. I would not trust starting him to do so just because he had one good run. This past week, it still seems like Malcolm Brown is the nominal starter. And if Gurley comes back, Henderson's not going to get enough touches. So I'd be scared of that running back room, but that's almost a fire up all your pass catchers against the Falcons.
Yeah, I agree there. There's not really much else to go over. And looks like the 49ers are going to stay unbeaten. They're traveling to Washington this week. Case Keenum and your boy McLaurin had a good game, John. It's a trap.
1:00 game, East Coast. Yep, San Fran. Play that egg.
Except the Redskins just really suck. I don't know if they'll cover the 10, but I don't think they have a problem winning. What's his name? Callahan took over as the coach in Washington. He's already going back to 1983. We are going to run the football. So, and Washington or the Niners, like we mentioned earlier, are obviously committed to it. This game the total is only 41.5. And I think that's just a product of the clock getting milked from both teams. This might be a 2-hour game if they have it go the way they want. So I think you're going to see tons of running, obviously some splash plays. You might see a little, pop out of my boy Terry McLaurin and the Niners. I didn't see the stats. Somebody had said that Dante Pettis led him in targets again this week, came out of the doghouse. So
I don't know. 4, though.
Nothing. That means absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I don't.
No, Kittle had 8 for 108.
Yeah, I was gonna say, he led the wide receivers in catches and targets.
Yeah.
Kittle's
Never
out of there. How about in this game of all the running backs playing, Adrian Peterson scored the most fantasy points last week. He outscored each individual 49er running back. I
believe you guys called that last week.
I was getting a ton of touches.
23 carries. He had 2 catches. Yeah, I heard Chris Thompson got hurt. I didn't see the game or didn't even really look too much into it. But if he's out, they really would have got John's boy Wendell Smallwood behind him. Adrian Peterson. Yeah, they're gonna feed him till he dies. That's a 20 carry game again because John's right. San Fran's. I don't know that they're gonna pun intended, run away with this game. As Washington ground and pounds protects the ball. It could be a ugly, ugly football game.
Yeah, agreed. We got a division battle here. We got the Texans and the Colts. Walk. Why don't you take the old trusty Colts? Marlon Mack. We got Ebron. Any of these guys you're feeling pretty confident going in this week 7?
Well, you can't feel confident about Ebron anymore. I think we've all discussed that, so we'll just move on. T.Y. Hilton is probably the only one I start with confidence. Marlon Mack, he looked great in the win against KC. But, if I just don't know, I feel more confident in Houston's offense putting up points on Indy than I did KC's at the time. So I wouldn't be rushing Marlon Mack out there unless, due to bye weeks, like I have in one league, you have to start him. But I wouldn't be expecting too much from him. I do think this could be a good T.Y. Hilton game. Houston secondary doesn't scare me, and I think they're gonna have to score points to stick with them. So Brissett's been sneaky decent too, as a QB in Superflex leagues, and they're gonna have to throw the ball. So 2 to 3 touchdowns from him, little bit on the ground with his legs. I think he's got sneaky upside as well.
And then Will Fuller came back to earth. John dropped a couple passes that could have helped your week out quite a bit.
That's what he does. The Will Fuller special.
The full experience. The last 2 weeks were Will Fuller to a T. Yeah. Literally, he wins you a week and he loses you a week.
Speaking of
two fucking hands.
To a T, Mr. Kiki Kuti, or Coutier, however you want to say it. He's back involved in the offense. Didn't have a huge game, but it looks like Watson's starting to look his way a little more. Maybe something to, with the buys coming up. Next week's a big bye week on week 7. I mean, I wouldn't hesitate really to roll him out if you're short at wide receiver.
I would like to see him get some attention, so defensives have to pay attention to him, so it opens up Hopkins a little bit, who's been...
What is going on there?
I don't know.
I think it's kind of same thing. The teams can... Until Fuller popped last week, I mean, what were teams defending?
DeAndre Hopkins averaged 6 yards a reception.
Oh, yeah, he's getting all the short work.
He's fucking sure. Jarvis Landry.
but he's not. I mean, yeah, he's not breaking them like he has in years past. I'm not worried about him long term. Obviously, it's a shit start to the season, so regression, positive regression to the mean for him should be in for a good second half of the year. But it's not a great start. I think this is a good spot for him to kind of get right. The Colts have done a pretty good job game planning, though, so I wouldn't be shocked to see them do their best to shut him down. I don't think they think Hyde has another good game this week, so it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out, but I'm got my fingers crossed for some Hopkins production.
Another division game, the Vikings and Lions. Kirion got a little bit of burn last night. It is going to be I guess you can call it a short week. They only got 6 days to prepare for the division rival Vikings, but I'm liking what I'm seeing from Kenny Golladay. Other than that, I mean, Jesse James get in the end zone? Is that what I saw last night?
He did not.
Kerryon's
the only one who scored.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. Maybe I dreamt it. But the Lions offense is, if you have Kirion and Golladay, I guess a sneaky play Stafford here and there. We don't really need to get into that too much. But the Vikings, who are you rolling out, Walk?
I don't know, but I just had to look back and I realized Matt Prater was dropping bombs in that game. Where I was
great.
Shit. I mean, that dude just
a couple 50-yarders, yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
Not even in question.
No.
Like Matt Prater.
He's no mocker.
Listen, we're talking Vikings after they just bludgeoned my Eagles in the most obvious get-right game of Stephon Diggs' and human existence. I think fire him up again. Detroit didn't look that good against much lesser competition in Alan Lazard and Jake Kumaro for the balance of this fucking Packers game. So, Diggs and Thielen, get him right back out there. You're obviously always starting Dalvin Cook. And I'd probably even consider Kirk Cousins as a low-end one in this game, to be totally honest with you. I mean, there are bye weeks too. I mean, it's not a who's who of bye weeks. Baker, Winston, Kyle Allen, and Delvin Hodges are the quarterbacks on bye this week. So maybe you lost 2 starters. So
yeah,
I would trust. I would go back to Cousins this week.
Speaking of, a high output quarterback, I'm going to go ahead before we go to our starts and sits. I'm going to say if you got Andy Dalton and you got some buys, I would throw him in this week. They're taking on the Jaguars, and they are at home. Not that they've been anything short of abysmal on the offensive side of the ball, mostly speaking to you, Joe Mixon. But I think Andy Dalton with my boy Auden Tate leading the receiving course out there right now, with Tyler Boyd, AJ Green still on the sidelines. I could see a big game there. And John, what are we getting from the Jaguars besides Fournette over and over up the middle?
Cincinnati sucks. I think they're worse than Miami. Miami's got some glaring holes, but if you had to bet if the team's children were on the line, I feel like Miami would beat the shit out of Cincinnati.
It's the Jags.
Well, they do have Mark.
No, I'm saying.
Oh, gotcha.
In a vacuum, just how dog shit Cincinnati is. No, Jacksonville. Obviously, they've shown what they want to do this year, and it's going to be the Fournette show again. They lost. Jeff Swaim got knocked out, didn't he?
Yes, he did. He did.
And they lost. What's his name last week? So, if stupid Josh Oliver is finally healthy after having a apparently 13-week hamstring injury, he may get out there.
Epic hamstring injury.
Yeah. So we'll see if he actually gets out there because they've used a tight end in this system in the early going here. But I mean, play Shark, play Westbrook. I don't think anybody on Cincinnati is going to stop anything they want to do unless Minshew just has a bad game,
which is entirely possible.
Certainly is.
Seth DeValve is this week, guys. So get ready for
Walker's
that.
Walker's been waiting. Let's
I've
tether
him 3 times this year.
Let's tether these fucking 3 games together. Excuse the old effing, but
can we talk about Auden Tate for one more second about how he's challenging Mike Evans for lack of separation king?
Hey, it doesn't.
Tate is the contested catch king because he has to be.
He's He's just a smaller version of like Kelvin Benjamin or something.
I said they need to see what the Raiders are doing with Waller and just literally do the same thing over and over again.
Go ahead and get in the weight room a little bit. We'll roll you out at old TE next year. But let's keep these 3 together because I'm not going to watch any of them. We got the Cardinals, Giants, Dolphins, Bills, Chargers, Titans. That's a slate of stuff you don't want to see on a Sunday. I'm trying to see bright spots here.
I saw a tweet about Tennessee that made me laugh. Somebody had said they're the only team in the NFL that can beat every single team and lose to every single team. And
that's accurate.
Yeah. Tennessee's they're the worst. They're the most unwatchable team in football.
I would say so.
I blame Mike Vrabel.
Oh, yeah.
It's entirely his fault. I agree with that game. I give or take it. Miami Buffalo. Hopefully Devin Singletary plays because this could be like a coming out party for that kid. He's had time to heal, and they should just beat the brakes off of Miami.
I think Yeldon goes off a little bit.
They could all go off. They're giving 17 points.
I was going to say, can you believe Buffalo's? They're laying 17 and the total's only 40.
That's 38.5.
Oh man, Giants wise, Golden Tate
potential.
Golden Tate is a bright spot there in New York. I'm trying to. Yeah, I mean, you got to roll him out if you scooped him up off on waivers a couple of weeks ago, waiting for the suspension to end. He just jumped right into the mix this week, so that was good to see. Other than that, we already talked about. John did about Walton. Fitzpatrick or Rosen? I know Fitzpatrick.
They're going back to Rosen.
They are okay. So don't trust any receivers there. Let's go to the games that start to look a little better on paper. We'll go to the Ravens and Seahawks. I think this is going to be a battle here, Walker. I know you're a Lamar fan. What do you expect from the Ravens rolling into Seattle?
I am, but before we jump, the Arizona Giants game, Kyler Murray had a good week last week. I would fully expect that to repeat itself. He's starting to throw touchdowns now, so you want to start Kyler Murray against those Giants. But no, that Baltimore-Seattle game is probably one of the better games on the slate. It's a 50.5 over-under. I believe that is the highest implied total. And nope, sorry. Those Rams and Falcons were playing each other. Totally forgot about that one. They don't play defense, so I think points are going to be scored. Seattle's defense doesn't scare anyone, and Russell Wilson's willing to get in shootouts with teams.
Right.
So that should lead to Lamar Jackson and those Ravens doing the same thing. But I think in a perfect world, both these teams want to run the ball like 40 times each.
Yep.
And I think they'll both try to do so. I mean, you mentioned that with San Fran and Washington. Like that is that's how both these teams are built. So this is definitely a start your running backs day. I mean, this is Ingram and Carson could be running backs 1 and 2, honestly, on the week. It sucks because Carson just sat Penny in a dark corner somewhere. Only shut the fuck up. And it's in Seattle, so I fully expect Seattle to win this game, and just to start everyone.
Yeah,
except Will Dissly, unfortunately.
Right. I heard old Lamar on Dan Patrick this morning. God damn, you still need a translator to understand what that dude is saying, especially on a phone call. It's just like, But John, I'm pretty sure Russell Wilson is the number one QB in some of these scoring formats, kind of depending on what you got going on. He's just getting
a ton of yardage.
He's getting it done with his legs. I mean, he's scooting
super efficient. Yeah.
And I think you can expect that moving forward. Obviously, Tyler Lockett. Are you trusting any other receivers? I mean, DK's still getting some looks.
Yeah, and then Jerron Brown scored 2 this week. They're pretty opportunistic. I mean, obviously, Lockett's their true number one, but like, I don't think it would shock anybody if David Moore scored 2 this week, or somebody else.
Jerron Brown.
Yeah. Well, Jerron Brown scored the 2 last week. Yeah,
I think I'll have to do that again. Okay.
No. I won't be back to back. It's always some random nonsense, or a Luke Wilson game.
Yes, it is. Yeah. It's gonna be Luke Wilson.
So
probably.
Fucking CJ Procise, two goal line carries. That's what'll happen.
Listen, at least Luke Wilson worked his way out of Oakland with pride and ended up back in Seattle, not like fucking Antonio Brown. Learn something.
Oh man!
But I got some fun things that I just uncovered here. They at least were fun to me. Russell Wilson has not thrown an interception this year.
Correct.
I know he's amazing, but still wasn't aware of that. And on 33 less carries than Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson has 1 more rushing touchdown.
Nice. I mean, Lamar was running the rock quite a bit last week, so I expect some more of the same. All you can expect or hope for is Andrews takes one of those catches into the end zone easily would put him at tight end 1 for the week. But I don't know if I'm trusting Luke Wilson as much as Russell likes his tight ends still. I got to see it first before I just throw it out there.
Baltimore needs Marquise Brown back on the field too.
Yes, they do.
It's pretty fucking ugly when they're trusting Willie Snead and Miles Boykin.
We've got a Earl Thomas revenge game on our hands.
You think he walks on over and flips Pete off again?
I think he gets smoked because he has looked totally washed so far.
He doesn't do shit. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he's done.
Speaking of washed, let's go to those Bears and the Saints. The Bears, it looks like Trubisky's kind of cooked already in his 3rd year. Why don't you just stick with Chase Daniel to manage the game and then hit the draft again at this point? But Saints bright spots. Kamara still banged up. You rolling out Murray again?
No. Nope. No, I mean, I'd like what Josh Jacobs did against the Bears, but I still trust that Bears defense. And now it's Bears defense at home in Soldier Field.
Off the bye.
Rather than London. They're going to be pissed off.
Right.
And, this should be an ugly game. Bears are 3-point favorites. They're pretty much saying it's even against the Saints and no Drew Brees. So I think this is going to be an ugly game, 38.5 implied total. I buy that all day because I think the Saints defense is decent too, and Chase Daniels isn't scaring anyone.
I think Teddy B's little run of fantasy and real football relevance is going to come to a crashing halt this one. I think the Bears, give him some looks he's not familiar with and shut him and that big dong of his down.
What I'm seeing, like how teams are playing the Saints, is they're trying to sit in these zone blitzes and disguise the coverage, hoping Teddy throws it into there. But Teddy can't even throw against man. So, why not just put the pressure on that guy and make him throw some picks? So, Teddy, you're going to get the old Mac this week, and I don't know what's going to happen there. If I was Teddy, I'd be trying to get down like Eli in the pocket.
Yeah, I don't like that game whatsoever for fantasy purposes. I mean, start Michael Thomas and start Allen Robinson, but I mean, what else are you really trusting? You're going to have to start Kamara, but how big of a game is David Montgomery going to have? He hasn't done shit this year. He's been terrible. Yeah. He's been so bad. I mean, he was the broken tackle guy at Iowa State. What's going on? Because he's sure getting a lot of attempted tackles against him for those Bears, and they seem to be working pretty well in the tackle department against David Montgomery.
I'm trying to remember a running back that just went down on first contact.
Kalen Ballage.
There you go. That's a good one.
Johnny said running back. Running back.
Apparently, you mean car wash attendant. That's where that's headed.
You remember that day when I played for the Dolphins? Oh man,
he's the Zach Ertz of running backs. No one tackles themselves better than Zach Ertz does for my Philadelphia Eagles. That dude is allergic to contact.
Man, it's like you know where we're going, and that's where we're going. We're going to Jerry World, where the Eagles are playing the Dallas Cowboys. Sunday night. It's our first meeting of the year. I am officially not expecting anything. Anything could fucking happen in this game. Cowboys' whole receiving core is depleted with injuries. Gallup dropping passes. Cooper went out with a bruised thigh in the third play of the game against the Jets. Not going to make any excuses. Fantasy-wise,
excuses.
You're rolling out Zeke. Seems like after 28 touches with the Jets, they're trying to get him. They're trying to go back to their old ways and get him more involved. I don't think you see Tavon Austin in the slot again. Hopefully Cobb comes back, but I mean, there's not much offensively besides I'd roll out Dak if you're in Superflex just because of the rushing touchdowns. But what are you seeing on the Eagles side of the ball, Walk?
Yeah, I mean, all your points are pretty salient. I mean, Zeke, you have to start because where you drafted him, but this Eagles run defense has still been stellar.
Right.
They shut down Cook again. He just had a junk touchdown at the end of the game. You don't run on the Philadelphia. You can throw all over him.
Yep.
Start every pass catcher and some you would never even think of. You're not running on them, and I think the Cowboys' offensive line is still dinged up. Who knows how Collins and Smith are going to be in the game, but I would temper expectations for Zeke. But yeah, I mean, Dak is a great start. They're going to be throwing the ball. Michael Gallup probably is going to have a career game against us on prime time. I don't even know that Cooper plays. So what are you going to get, a little Cedric Wilson? Are you going to pepper Jason Witten with far too many targets once again?
Oh my God, dude.
I'm hoping and praying that Deshaun Jackson's back on the field because our offense has been so predictable that we're using Miles Sanders to stretch the field against defenses right now, and that's just not a recipe for success long term. Outside of that, I'm definitely starting Wentz. Alshon Jeffrey has to be in there as a wide receiver too. Ertz is your clear defaulty tight end one of sorts, and I'm hoping that the Miles Sanders thing continues because I just don't want to see a revision game where they try and bludgeon Dallas with Jordan Howard. I've seen enough of it. He had his day in the sun against Green Bay, but I want more Miles Sanders in my life.
Yeah, you were spot on this offseason with your analysis on how they were going to use Miles Sanders, saying, midway through the year, you can expect a little more burn. I think he had 6 for 86 in the touchdown, but in the receiving game. And I would love to see more as well. Less Jordan Howard. John, you want to weigh in on either side of the ball here?
Here's a fun question for you guys. So assuming Cooper's out, right? So Gallup will be their number one, and Philly is trash against wide receivers. Would you start Michael Gallup over Tyreek Hill this week?
No.
Would you start Michael Gallup over DeAndre Hopkins this week?
Is Houston playing?
Colts, I think.
Nah.
Colts.
Sorry.
Would you start him over Michael Thomas against the Bears?
Yes.
No. PPR, no. Still going with Thomas.
I'm going.
What about Kenny Galladay against Minnesota?
I would. That's probably a good.
I think that's
line for me. I think they both have similar type upside.
I think that's like a wash right there. Either one.
Yeah.
And what about Thielen versus Detroit?
Yes.
Thielen, huh? Do you think the Diggs thing's going to continue?
No. If Cooper isn't playing, I think Gallup's going to get 12 plus targets in a game where he can do a lot with said targets. I mean,
right.
The Eagles aren't fixing his defense overnight. This is what it's been like all season. We're limited in our pass rush, and our back end can't cover. So what happens? Big, deep plays. And
well, how about
will get deep, even if it just gets deep for one. I mean,
right. Yep.
a 60-yard touchdown sets your day up. You could do shit the rest of the day. Cobble together like 3 for 40 or 3 for 50, and you have a 100-yard, 1-touchdown day.
It's just so hard. I mean, obviously, I love rolling him out when Cooper's there just as a sneaky play. But now that if he, comes into this wide receiver one role.
Oh, listen, he did choke in the spotlight.
He did.
He withered.
It definitely scared me off of him a little bit. We'll get out there. I can't wait till next week when we record, and we'll see who's atop the NFC East. But let's go to the AFC East. And
before you move on, you want to hear the beauty of this? I literally am catching a flight at 8:50 that night to fly down to Florida on business. I will miss the entire game. I will land, the game will be over, and I will see what happened.
I'll make sure to text you, so when you land, you'll get a bunch of ding, dings, dings. But This is a trap game for the old Patriots. They usually lose one of these a year, and this time it's on Monday night, and they're playing the Jets, who are riding high off that win against the Cowboys. Sam Darnold, Robbie Anderson connected for a 92-yard touchdown, longest in Jets history. That's what's crazy about it. Good job, Cowboys. Way to give the Jets a piece of history. But I guess you could trust that moving forward. Darnold's, gaining weight. He's only 25 pounds underweight right now, so he's eating that Campbell's chunky soup, getting healthy. Do you expect anything from Le'Veon Bell with this Patriots rush defense, John?
No, the Jets suck. They got lucky. The Cowboys just laid an egg at home. They're, fans are riding high. The New England is going to bash them back into reality this week. Gase was not good at beating the Patriots with the Dolphins. That's not going to change now that he's with the Jets. They'll probably take away Bell, is my guess, what New England's going to do. And the rest of the defense is obviously solid, so I'm not expecting much from Robbie either. They're going to beat the shit out of them at home and embarrass them.
So my analysis, walking before I throw it to you, is I think that Gilmore stays on Anderson, and it opens it up for Crowder, probably going to be their only producer on the offensive side of the ball this week. But I was going to give you the Patriots, and since you're a tight end guru, Watson signed yesterday. They'll be rolling him out this week. Any inclination to start him if you're really hurting at tight end?
Yeah, I mean, if you're really hurting a tight end, but the tight end position has not been a product of their offense thus far. And not that they had anyone of significance, Izzo and Lacoste cobbling it together. But the Patriots offense is looking a little out of sorts. Their line isn't good, hasn't gelled yet. Brady's taking pressure. Jets can bring pressure on Brady with their front. I don't think the Jets win this game. I'm not going there, but I don't think the Jets get blown out in this game. I'm not liking what I'm saying from the Patriots offense. Is Gordon going to play? Do they activate Harry? Who gives a fuck? He's his first game as a rookie. I mean, is Dorsett coming back? Probably not. Are you just running Gunnar Olszewski out there again with Jacoby Myers and Julian Edelman, and that's terrifying people?
A guy right out of the trailer park, dude.
I do like Myers.
So you can like him all you want. I mean, he's still their fifth or sixth wide receiver on their team. And sure, Brady makes people relevant, but they're taking some shots. They just
don't take that.
Their defense is otherworldly right now. I mean, it's keeping them in games. Anyone who says it's not doesn't watch the fucking games. Brady cobbles together his stats, throwing 40 times a game. They can't run the ball because Sony Michel's getting tackled right away, and because their offensive line is pitiful. They're not opening up any run lanes. I don't know if Darnold can play within himself and not turn the ball over. I think this is a Jets cover, and I think a better, closer game than you believe it is on Monday Night Football.
Sounds to me, Walk, like you're really loving James White in this game.
Yeah, I 100% am. Especially if Josh Gordon doesn't play, which I don't expect him to do. I think James White can catch 8 balls in this game easily. It's going to be him and Edelman, literally each seeing double-digit targets. They might each see 15 targets. They're
even fucking mixing Bolden. That guy's been there forever, it feels like. And
listen, brought him back. He's a true Patriot. But, I mean, this game, and hopefully Le'Veon Bell sees some passes in this game. I mean, he wasn't involved in the game plan at all. Largely at all. I mean, what do you have, 15 carries? 14 carries. Yeah, he got 15 in his touchdown. He only had 1 target for 3 yards. I mean, that's not how you use Le'Veon Bell. He needs to have 6 or 8 catches, and I think he will in this game where they're trying to get him on their linebackers, the Patriots linebackers. But yeah, I think a huge Crowder game is in the offing, and I saw that they finally activated Chris Herndon, who aggravated his hamstring a week before he's supposed to return. I don't know if he plays or not, but I would be mildly interested in him if he was active.
Yeah, same. Scooped him up a few weeks ago in a redraft league, but we're kind of running short on time. Let's get to maybe some waiver ads, start sits. I'll start with you, John.
Oh, put me on the spot. I mean, my Lazard, of course, Walton. If Ben Watson actually is active for this week, him too. It's pretty slim pickings for this week. Sits, of course, going against Cincinnati Fournette, but that's obviously a give me. And then who has been terrible against the tight end? Cincinnati too, right?
Yeah, it was Arizona. But that's
Red Ellison, big Red Ellison week.
I think you get Ingram back this week, so Red Ellison goes back to obscurity. But listen, if you play with a defense, the Bills were on bye last week, and we just talked about how they're going to absolutely throttle Miami, and they actually have like a good schedule for like a month. The Bills are a huge, stream and DST ad for the week. As much as I hate Benny Snell and don't think he's special at football, he is a James Conner injury away, and they're on bye. But why not get him for free this week potentially to sit him on your bench for a week, because Jalen Samuels is missing the next few weeks minimum, and James Conner just looks like he's begging to get a bigger injury. He's just nicked up left, right, and center. Then I can see it coming for him, and then that's Benny Snell's backfield. So go steal him early. John was right about Mark Walton. I want to believe they trade Kenyon Drake and unlock him so he can go somewhere and be relevant again, and then this would be Mark Walton's backfield, because we all know how I feel about that other guy in Miami and his lack of being a running back. So go get you some Mark Walton. I did bring up Seth the Valve. I truly do believe that one week that he could be something for Jacksonville, because I do not think Josh Oliver plays. And there was no other significant injury, so no one kind of popped from
Wilson.
Yeah, Luke Wilson could. He has rapport with Russell Wilson. He's the only game in town there anymore. You saw how big of a factor Disley was in this offense. So Luke Wilson could have a few shining moments, and that's scanning everything. I mean, if Chris Thompson's injury is serious, look into that. Maybe you go get you a Wendell Smallwood, because you're sure as shit not trusting Adrian Peterson catch balls, and I think Smallwood could do that. So he could be someone that you could put a low fab bid on, and that's about all I got at combing through these sheets. Jamal Williams, he might even have been available in some leagues after that concussion and missing a week. He's back into a timeshare in Green Bay, so any given Sunday he could be a RB1 apparently, because that just happened. So if Jamal Williams is on your waiver wire, go get him.
There's always going to be those guys in your league, especially these redraft home leagues, maybe not some of the ones we play in, but, where they see Aaron Jones get 4 touchdowns the week before, and they're like, well, shit, Williams is never getting on the field. They dropped him. So that's a good point there. My starts this week for the receivers, I brought him up a little bit, but I think Crowder's the one that's going to flourish in that Jets game. Not saying he's going to throw out a monster, but I think he'll be viable. Gallup as well. Running backs, I mean, everything's pretty straightforward. There's not really any sneaky plays, happening this week. Maybe Damian Williams on a Thursday night, but like you guys always say, you can't trust those Thursdays. I'm the opposite. I try to roll out 3 guys so I get a lead.
Listen, I usually trust running back on Thursday, and I don't have any stats to back this up, but I just feel like there's a more simplified game plan on a short week. Defenses are all banged up. I think you run the ball more often, and I do think that makes sense for KC to do it. The fact is, we don't know who that running back is. Is it LaShawn McCoy? Is it Damian Williams? Is it randomly going to be Darrell Williams?
That's why I just said Williams, so I looked good. Okay.
Williams, there you go.
two out of 3 there. Also, my sneaky one, though, is for the Bills is if Singletary can't go. I really do like Yeldon in that game as well. But that'll pretty much –
Frank Gore is going to have 102 touchdowns.
Frank Gore. He's
102 touchdowns?
He could. He's going against his former team, right? Wasn't he in Miami for a year?
Yeah, he was.
Just about every team in the NFL is a former team for Frank Gore.
He's going to be that guy. Yeah. He's like
you want a sneaky start? I'm going DK Metcalf.
Nice.
Around. I think Marlon Humphrey is going to be on Tyler Lockett, and I could see this being a DK Metcalf 2-touchdown game.
Let's see it.
I have to actually trust and put my money where my mouth is and start him in a league this week, because I see it happening.
Yeah, let's see if Humphrey can choke out DK. I doubt that happens, but
he knows better.
Yeah, I don't think he can choke out the
Get your hands around his neck.
jogging. He was, I don't know if he caught a ball or dropped one, whatever, but he was jogging back off the sideline. He just got fucking, his arms look like two legs hanging off his fucking torso. He's a
Minotaur, right?
monster.
It's like he's like a bigger, better David Boston at this point. I mean, he's already doing more things than David did in his career. But
did you see the pregame? Odell intentionally bumped into him to mess with him, and DK Metcalf didn't even move.
he did that. He's
Like didn't even just like Odell like ended up spinning around, and he was like, "Hey."
It's like when Cam Newton tried to punk Kelvin Benjamin, or actually did. Kelvin didn't want any of that smoke.
You are. Yeah, at that point, Benjamin was about 280.
Yeah, he's like,
Really
I was just joking, dude.
Pretty soon they can sit around and joke about it at the unemployment line together.
Right?
Oh,
Oh, burn.
think about that, Panthers fans. It's a Kyle Allen world.
A quick point here without cheating or looking. Do you know what Miami's projected total is in this game?
Well, I had a clue because I think I said both numbers. So if I
13?
did quick math, 7.
It's 11.5.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
fucking embarrassing.
Getting 17.5 on a 38-point line, so it's good.
So they're going to score, go for 2, and then kick a field goal and somehow pick up a half a point in there.
They're not getting any of that.
It brings Mark Walton, baby.
It does. Stay out of jail this week, Mark. We need you. But
They said
that'll sum it up for the Fantasy 40 this week. We appreciate everybody taking a listen. It's been kind of silent on our end. Nobody's really getting at us on the old Twitter. So make sure you add us, ask us some questions, or just shoot some shit. We'll fire right back at you. We're at the Fantasy 40 on Twitter. Walk's got us Instagram. What's that one, Walk? What are we on Instagram?
at the Fantasy 40.
Oh, man. See, we're making it easy for you guys. Walk's taking selfies with his man thong on, so you'll get to see lots of good stuff on there.
Hanging out with Teddy Bridgewater. Yeah,
Right.
banana hammocks.
Oh, the old dick sock. But we'll definitely shut it down here so we don't go any further into these talks. But for myself, Andrew Burke, John Dabari, and Matt Walker, we're the Fantasy 40, and we are signing off.